DuckTalks is part of Res TV's network of podcasts. Check out res.tv for other great podcasts.
Every 5 years, the mists of Dismal Downs part enough to reveal the home of the lost treasure of the Knights Templar. Brace yourselves, kids. Primordial menace lurks here. The most treacherous terror I've ever faced.
Oi! Jettison that jalopy from my driveway this instant, you deadbeat!
Daddy. Mummy.
It's the week of Monday, August the 6th, and you're listening to episode 36 of DuckTalks.
Mitch. Mitch, are you there?
Huh?
Are you playing Disney Emoji Blitz?
Yeah.
Trying to record the show?
Just a minute. I'm almost done with this live.
Okay, I'll just sit here and wait.
Okay. Shouldn't take me long. I'm not very good at this. I've got to get my 200 gems for the next event. Oh, I'm almost out of time. Anyway, let's get to this podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to DuckTalks. We're not going to do that anymore.
We put all that effort into it too.
I'm leaving it in there. It'll be great. But yeah. Hey, we got some Disney Emoji Blitz news coming up in the episode. But hey, welcome to DuckTalks. My name's Mitch. I'm one of your hosts.
Ahoy, Duckburg. This is Pirate Steven. I'm here again.
And we're here to talk about some DuckTales.
We are going to talk seriously about some DuckTales. We got this episode this week was off the chain, as the kids tell me. And I'm looking forward to talking about it. We got some Duck merch, all that fun stuff coming to a podcast near you right now.
As in, at this moment, whenever you're listening to this. 36 episodes. We're chugging right along.
Man, it's like an eternity in podcast years. That's
what I'm thinking. Hey, I think our annual, or our, hold on. Let me turn that off. I think that our anniversary is sometime in October. Is that right?
Yeah, that seems about when we started.
So that's cool. We'll have to do something special for that episode.
Like record a show?
Well, we'll do that now. Let's jump into things. We'll look at an email. So we've got another question from Steve this week. Steve mentioned this spoiler alert for this week's episode of DuckTales. If you haven't seen it, stop what you're doing and go watch it now. And then come back and listen to us, because we're going to talk about it and review it. And this question is going to dive right into part of the episode. But there is a question here from Steve. And he asked if we noticed that Scrooge introduced Launchpad, a.k.a. Donald, to Scrooge's parents as their great-nephew, which is wrong. Based on everything we know, Donald should be their grandson. So did you catch this when you first watched it?
You know, I didn't. I just shrugged it off. I feel like the DuckTales crew knows Donald's history and who he is, and that he's actually the grandson of Fergus and Downy. So I don't know if it was an actual mistake or not, or they were making fun of Scrooge not knowing anything about the family.
That's kind of where I fell on it. I doubt it's a mistake. It may be, but I doubt it's a mistake. I actually tweeted at Frank and Gomez. He hasn't responded yet, asking. I told him that I believed that it was part of the story and that's something they were doing, but I just wanted to see what, if they would say anything about it. I definitely think, because when you're watching it, after Scrooge says that, it goes back to Downy and Fergus, and they're just kind of staring at him like, really? And you're thinking maybe they're not buying the whole Launchpad thing. And maybe they're really questioning what Scrooge is doing. And I think that's the case. I think it has to do with the fact that Scrooge is so full of, he's driven by finding this treasure, and he's trying to prove at that moment that he's a family's man. And in doing so, he's proving that he doesn't even know that who his nephew is.
It was a really funny scene. Everybody needs to, like you said, watch it over and over again. Because it's Launchpad, and every time Launchpad's on the screen, it's good. It's always good for a laugh.
Steve, thanks again for your email. And if you would like to ask us a question or suggest something for the show, you can do that by reaching out to us at DuckTalksPod. I'm sorry, it's not at. By emailing us, it is at DuckTalksPod@gmail.com. No at symbol at the beginning. Just the word. But not in our email address. Something like that. Beyond DuckTales. I've been excited about this. I finished Volume 1. I know you finished You probably need to reread Volume 1 now in order to get ready for this.
So, what we're talking about is Fantagraphics Don Rosa Volume 1. We're huge Don Rosa fans now, apparently. He's awesome. Yeah, and so we read through Volume 1, and it is such a joy. And I actually I finished a review on it last week, and it's a list of what is it? It's like 13 stories.
Yeah, 13 stories
in that one, and I was able to do the review based on memory. I saw the names of the stories, and I could tell you what each one was, and facts about it, and they were very memorable.
They're great stories. This is a fun collection. I really enjoyed it, especially with the fact that it's his first works. And then the commentary at the end.
Yeah, they feel like bonus features. Like you're paying for all the stories in these volumes, and you get so much more than that. You get to hear why he did things, and if there was tribute, because a lot of comic artists and writers like to put tributes to different people in it, and you get to hear those stories and behind the scenes and why they did things. So very cool.
So here's what we're going to do. Anyone who follows us may have seen that we've had a little bit of issues recording on Discord. This episode's not live. We're still trying to work that out. We'll get there. Until then, what we're doing is we're going to have some kind of sporadic meetups on Discord. And we promised that when we set out to do this, we asked people, buy the book if you don't already have it, and read along with us. And we're going to get together and we're going to talk about it. So we still want to do that, even if we can't record it. So Beyond DuckTales, for the time being, and if I can figure out how to record it by next week, I will. But for the time being, is going to be a live meetup prior to us recording the next episode of DuckTalks. So next Monday, and I don't have that date in front of me. Needed in front of me. Is that the 13th? It is. Next Monday, August the 13th, we're going to meet early. So it will be before we start recording the next episode. We'll make sure we get that time out a little closer to time. We'll make sure that we have it out on social media, maybe even on our website, DuckTalks.com, to let you know what time we're going to try to be available to begin Beyond DuckTales. And we're just going to have kind of a book club where we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it with you. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so this is going to be our first one. We're doing Volume 1, and then 2 weeks from then, we're going to do Volume 2. So it's good to get into this early so that you can join us for this literary journey of Don Rosa. So I'm looking forward to it. I already read Volume 1. I'm ready to move on to the next one and enjoy it. But first, we want to talk about it with everybody that's in our little book club, and make sure we're all enjoying it together, because it is a treat.
Yeah, I've had to stop myself from reading Volume 2. I'm ready to move on to it, but let's talk about it first. It's going to be a lot of fun, and then we'll be able to go on to Volume 2. Now, if you have the individual comics and you just want to be there for those discussions, you can do that. You can buy the volume 1 from Fantagraphics. You can buy it on Amazon, our website. We've got some links, some affiliate links that supports our website that goes to Amazon, and then you can find them in bookstores, different places. So you can get a hold of it if you want to, or if you have the individual issues. If you don't, and you're still interested in participating, we're not going to ask you if you bought it. Definitely show up, ask questions, participate in the conversation. We'll have a good time. So that's next Monday the 13th, followed by Volume 2 on the 27th. And we'll just keep moving like that. We'll try to do every 2 weeks, we'll do a volume. Give us time to read it, digest it.
Yeah, I feel like we're learning a lot. I know, at least I am definitely learning more than I knew about the behind-the-scenes stuff. A lot of the references that we're getting in the DuckTales series are coming from these comics, so it's good to know what's going on by getting the background information by reading these comics.
Yeah, on a lot of the early stuff, we heard a lot about Carl Barks's work on DuckTales, or on Uncle Scrooge and Donald comics, and how it has impacted DuckTales. But I'm catching some Rosa stuff now. So they are definitely paying homage to Rosa's work as well as Carl Barks. There's actually something in this episode that Don Rosa first wrote. So we'll talk about that a little more in our review. So Pirate, you got some mail this week. You want to share that with everyone?
Did get some mail, and I did a review on the blog. We did. I really was digging the San Diego Comic-Con Fat Mojo Gold variant exclusive figures. I don't have the regular ones yet, but the gold ones looked really cool. And on eBay, I was kicking myself because I was trying to get a buyer to get them ahead of time. There's a bunch of different websites that will do that for you, and with a little bit of upcharge. Rightfully so, because they're taking the time to go to the convention, do all that for you. But I was able to find an eBay auction for the set for $25 plus $5 shipping, which made it $30, which was retail, which is probably even cheaper because whoever's there is probably paying sales tax. So got a good deal. Can't pass up $30 for that set. It is very cool looking in person. I got really great pictures from it. I don't know how I'm going to eventually display them yet. I like to have every single thing in my head that I want to display before I actually buy displays and put it all up. So right now it's still in the box, but they're really cool figures. They're just like the Fat Mojo PVC figure set that is in Target stores, but just gold colored. And I kind of like that because, you go to stores and sometimes they might have some paint job issues. With these, I don't have to worry because they're all gold.
It's all consistent.
Yeah, it's all gold. So, you know what? I have no problems with these. I think they're great.
I still need to find the set locally, the colored version. I've not come across them yet.
I've seen those. It's my Target finally got some of the items, and I've seen those there. Have you found the money stack ones yet?
No, but I haven't gone back recently. I've had some stuff going on. Haven't been able to get to Target. And the last time I was there, though, no money stacks.
I'm sure they'll get there eventually. I know Fat Mojo had stock problems. But, yeah, they'll get there. I don't know what the next thing I'm going to get, but I'm excited to get it.
Yeah, I'm actually sitting here. My girls were playing with the action figures, the Fat Mojo figures that we have. I just posted a picture to Twitter. But I've got them here, and I'm actually playing with them while we're recording. And they're great, and I definitely want to get a hold of that Donald. I haven't been able to get a Donald yet, but I want that one of the figure. This Webby isn't standing, though. I didn't realize that. My girls were having a ton of fun.
Someone else told me that they were having trouble standing. I see the picture you posted. You have Glom Gold right there. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Webby is different because she has the skirt, so her legs do not move the way the rest of them do. Oh, they do. You just got to kind of break the paint. So now I bet I can get her to stand.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally get these. I think they're going to be really cool and fun to display with other types of action figures and figures. Like I could picture displaying Glomgold by my Overwatch Reaper figure.
That'd be a good idea.
I mean, there's several different opportunities of displaying these with other things, and DuckTales integrates so well with other things. So, looking forward to seeing other people's pictures.
Yeah, during the hunt, we had a lot of people talking about getting the figures, but I've not seen a lot of pictures after.
Hopefully, people are taking them out of the box. But yeah, I need everything. I need the Sunchaser and all the individual figures and the money bin. And I'll totally post pictures when we get those.
Every time Suzanne comes back from Target, I ask her if she picked up a Sunchaser for me.
Yeah. Well, your birthday already passed, so you got to wait a whole other year for that.
I know. Or Christmas.
Oh, that holiday is coming this year too, isn't it?
We're not far from it.
Right?
Those definitely look like great figures, and that was a good review. So I'm glad you got a hold of those. I went back and forth on whether or not to get them, and ultimately decided not to. So I'm going to get the colored figures, and I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, it all came down to the price for me. I couldn't pass it.
It was a good price. So going back to our intro, you also reported, you've been busy this week. You also reported on Disney Emoji Blitz having a Magica Dispel event. Now, is this the actual name that's been placed on the event? Like, she's going to be the main villain, right?
It's a Disney Emoji Blitz. Let's give a little history of it. It's been out for 2 years now. It is a game. It's a match type game. There's so many mobile match type games out there, but this one is Disney emojis, and the cool part and the gimmick with it is that if you collect a certain amount of items or you unlock an emoji, you can actually keep it and store it on your keyboard for text conversations. And I think that's cool. So I kind of got into it right when it started. So I'm a major blitzer here of emojis.
You play a lot.
I play too much.
And
actually.
your scores are always in the millions.
Yeah, it's true.
I work very hard to break 1 million.
Yeah. So this is actually the third Disney Afternoon type event. The first one they had last August was a Disney Afternoon event that gave people the opportunity to unlock one of 3 new characters, and each character has their own special powers that can be used in the game if you choose those characters. And it was Scrooge McDuck, Darkwing Duck, and Launchpad McQuack. And then also with that event, it was a Disney Afternoon item event, which is you collect certain items from the Disney Afternoon by moving them to the bottom of your board. And once you've collected a certain amount of them, you move on to the next board and you unlock those emojis on your keyboard. So that was the Disney Afternoon event. And then this past, I believe it was February, there was another Disney Afternoon item event. And this one featured Rescue Rangers characters of Chip and Dale and Rescue Rangers items. So they would have like the Rescue Rangers logo or the Rescue Rangers plane. And that was a really fun event as well. And now they announced that in August, you'll have to read the dates to me. I think it's August 16th through the 20th, maybe.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. I don't have the blog up, so let me grab it.
So August, yeah, let me re-record that. August 16th through the 20th is the Magica Dispel villain event. And the villain events are really cool. You've obviously going to fight Magica Dispel and you're going to want to play as a DuckTales character because they have 2 times the power of any of the other Disney emojis. So you'll be able to defeat Magica quicker earning her emoji for your keyboard. So that is really cool. And it's great that we know they used to not tell us the events so far ahead of time. But at the beginning of the month, they've and their social media team is starting to pick up a little bit. And they tell us ahead of time what the events are for the entire month. And it's good to know that so that you can save up. There's these diamonds and gems that you can get in the game. And for this particular event, from a promo picture, we see that there's going to be a classic Webby and a classic Gizmo Duck character emoji. So those are going to be the popular ones they get because you can get the Magica one by completing the event. So
do you
you're going to have to get lucky in your diamond box to see if you can get Webby or Gizmo Duck. I have enough gems saved to buy 2 diamond boxes for this event, and even though I need 2 emojis of Webby and Gizmo Duck, I bet I get Scrooge McDuck and Launchpad because I already have those. You can get duplicates. That's the only sad part of Emoji Blitz is that you can get duplicates, which supposedly helps you get your power.
They power you up or something.
They power you up to different levels, and your emojis can do different things. But I don't care. I just want the different characters.
So do you think Darkwing will be powered up for this event?
No, I would say, well, Darkwing's always powerful, but I think in the diamond box they'll probably have 4 options that you could probably get, and they'll be Scrooge McDuck and Launchpad because they've already previously been released, and they'll have this new Webby and Gizmo Duck, but you won't know which one you get. And you can buy spend actual money and buy these diamonds to do it, but I've played this game for 2 years and I haven't spent a dime on it, so I'm not going to start now. And if you don't get it what you want during the event, they put them in other boxes that you can earn from just playing through the game.
You just have a greater chance of getting them if you buy the diamond box.
Yeah, and you want at least one of the DuckTales characters to fight Magica, so you can finish that event with a good time. So
yeah, and it's like it's $1.99 for 80 gems or diamonds, and it's $4.99 for 200.
Yeah, you're pretty much paying $5 for an emoji if you're actually buying them. But like I said, I haven't spent a dime, and I've got most of them unlocked. So, but you have to play a lot.
Yeah. So I've got Scrooge and Launchpad because I played a lot during that initial DuckTales.
Which is good. You got two of the characters. It took me... I didn't unlock Launchpad till this past weekend, and he's been out for a year. So that's definitely one that I wanted to get. And now that I have him, I'm fearing that that's going to be the one that I get in my diamond boxes in 2 weeks.
Well, that'll be fun. I enjoy playing this game. I just don't play it all the time, and I play it in spurts.
I only do it for the events, and this DuckTales one's big, so we'll have full coverage of it and pictures of all the different emojis if we unlock them. We better unlock them.
Well, I have Scar. I did that villain event.
Yeah, the villain events are a lot of fun. So you're going against Magica, so it looks like they have a Poe emoji as well. So she probably has something. She probably throws the ravens to do something to your board to mess up your matching skills.
We will definitely stay on top of that and share our progress as it goes. I don't know if Josh plays this at all. It seems like we've talked with Josh about this game before.
Yeah, I don't think he's a blitzer.
Yeah. Hey, we've got one item in Duck merch this week, one official item, and then I think one other thing that you came across today. But we were going to talk about the Disney Masters Volume 4, and surprise, you wrote a blog about it this week.
Read so many Duck comics. But so Disney Masters 4 is the Disney Master series is another one by our friends at Fantagraphics. They just came out with this in May, and it's a lot of comics that might have been debuted or published internationally that have never been published in the United States, or some other places before, that this Disney Masters editions is given the platform to debut these comics from other countries. So like the first, and with these Disney Masters series, they're kind of alternating between Mickey and then the Donald Duck or Uncle Scrooge. So the first volume was about Mickey. The second volume, Uncle Scrooge's Money Rocket, was about Donald and Uncle Scrooge and the boys. And then volume 3 was about Mickey. And then volume 4 comes out this week, and that is all about Donald Duck. And it's 18 different stories, great value of comics from, I think it's Dutch and Denmark, comic writer and illustrator. So they're really great, and I definitely recommend it. It would look great in anybody's library.
Yeah, I've seen a few people who are collecting these online, and they've shown off their collections, and they do look good. The stories, 18 stories, that's impressive. Now, I know with volume 1 of the Don Rosa collection, some of them are longer, like there was 2, maybe 3 stories that were longer, and then a bunch of shorter stories and some medium-sized stories. Are these all different lengths?
Yeah, not really long ones. 10 pages seem to be
okay.
Standard. Unlike the Don Rosa and Carl Barks library, there is not a lot of behind the scenes. Like those volumes give behind the scenes for every single story. These more give behind the scenes of the authors and the illustrators to let you know about their history on the comics.
So that's out this week. You can get a hold of it. There's plenty of your review includes links on where you can find it on Amazon, right?
Yes.
All right, so there's a good place to get it. You can buy it digital, you can buy it physical. So great job on that. And we really appreciate Fantagraphics getting that out to us early so that we could do a review on it and have an opportunity to talk about it on the show. Unfortunately, I haven't read it yet, so I can't really have a conversation about the stories, but you haven't read them yet. Not you, other people, listeners haven't read it yet, so you don't want us to spoil it for you, but maybe later we'll talk about it some more, because I've been reading, I started reading one of those they sent us. I can't remember which one it was, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm currently reading through IDW's Uncle Scrooge too, and it's really fun. I'm hoping to get a review out on that tomorrow. So a lot of really great stories. We're trying to catch up. We've got years and years of all these duck stories to read.
Yeah, we're doing it at light speed, so we'll be there in no time.
So after this episode, after last week's episode aired, we were treated to a promo of the upcoming episode, The Last Crash of the Sunchaser. It's just a few seconds long. It's not very long at all. Unfortunately, Disney doesn't put these out online. It'd be great if they did, but I guess they don't figure people are, breaking these down and really looking at them as closely as we are. But we're gonna. And I did find someone on YouTube who did a pretty good job of stabilizing their mobile phone. Maybe that's something we start trying to do in the future to catch these. But I found one with decent quality, decent audio, where they recorded it. And so we got to take a look at it. Of course, I saw it the first time that it came on, but it goes by so quick and you're just in kind of awe and shock when it happens. But there was a lot of great stuff in this promo for those, for everyone who's excited about the continued story of Della's mystery. And there's been a lot of talk online about some of the images that we saw. And so we want to take a moment and just kind of talk about that, about some of the stuff that was in this episode. There was an image, there was a couple of things that kind of stood out. One of the things that really stood out to me was the image of, it looks like Webby's taken. Now, in this week's episode, Huey takes a pencil to the back of a piece of paper and an image shows up. And I don't think we really saw that image very well in this week's episode, in the Secrets of Castle McDuck. But in next week's episode, that image is going to be very clear. And it's actually in the promo. You can see that Webby has added it to her board under Della's name, and it says the Spear of Selene. We're led to believe that this is an image that Della actually has maybe drawn, or, I don't know, she's got an imprint of it or something. It very well could be a spear. I still think it's going to end up being like a spacecraft.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is. A plane would be cool because she's a pilot, like Launchpad.
Right. She's got the aviator goggles and the jacket and the hat and everything, or helmet. I guess it's a helmet. But looking at this, I mean, it could be an actual spear tip. You can kind of see where it might be a shaft coming out of it, or maybe that's the propulsion system of some kind of plane or craft. It makes sense. It makes sense if you're reading a letter. Hey, Scrooge, I took the Spear of Selene for a ride. I mean, down the block, Yeah. I'll have it back in 15 years. So it's got a lot of people talking. A lot of people are speculating, is it actually a spear? Is it a craft? We'll find out next Saturday, 9:30 on the Disney Channel. Or at least I think we will. I think we'll get that answer. I don't expect for us to see Della's mystery fully solved this season. I think we do get Donald, well, maybe Donald, but I definitely think we get Scrooge fessing up to what's going on. I think the kids are going to corner him about it, and so we'll find out what they know about Della. But I don't think the mystery of Della will be solved. That's just my opinion.
I disagree.
You think we'll get it?
I feel like the last scene, the last shot is Della, and then it cuts off, and then you have to wait till season 2 to actually meet her. But I feel like she'll have something to do with helping them fight Magica, and then you don't know what helped defeat her, but then you see her for like a split second, and then it goes black screen.
And then it ends as the same way Wu ended, Mom?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I see that.
That's a great way. That's a great way to do it, and it gets people talking and wanting more until the next one.
We already want more, and we've not ended this season yet, so definitely.
Sure. When does season 2 start?
We don't know. I can't wait to find out when season 2 starts. I don't even need it to start yet. I just need to know when.
Right.
So, and there were a few other images. It looks like these images are maybe Della in the past. There's a lack of color. Definitely one of them shows Scrooge and Donald and Della on what looks like a boat that Donald is actually driving. And then there's Della at a desk with either a map or a calendar or something. So we're going to, I think this is Scrooge fessing up to who Della was. Because, I mean, to us, if you've read the comics that IDW's put out, there were a couple of issues that had stories that included Scrooge, Della, and Donald. And so we got an idea of what their adventuring was like, but we've not had that in the show. The show hasn't given us much more than a few comments between Donald and Scrooge, and they've not been pleasant. So this will be the first time that the show has shown their relationship and what has happened.
Yeah, the next 2 episodes are going to be fantastic. I can't wait.
Then to add to that, Disney has released one image, and it's loading, but they've released one image from this week's episode because, we had images pop up last Friday for the current episode that was about to air on Saturday, and for images and some images for the finale, but they did not include images of the last crash of the Sunchaser. But then they added some this week, or they added one, but no spoilers. They didn't give anything away. It's just an image of the boys and Webby behind what looks like could be the truck we've seen in some of the early promotion images. Actually, it's the truck that was in the Secret Castle, or the Secrets of Castle McDuck. So it's the same truck. And they have a duffel bag and a piece of paper. So the duffel bag doesn't look like the bag that we saw in this last episode, though. I'm guessing it's purple. But the last episode was all in the dark. I thought it was brown. But it's probably got all the Della stuff that they've put together. So, but that's all we got. That's it. So you think we get much more than... what are you expecting? What do you think you're going to get out of the next episode?
The Sunchaser will be there for sure.
I think the Sunchaser will be there. There might be a crash.
I gave the dramatic pause just so people would think that's all I know. Of course, the kids are going to be there. We know that the Darkwing Duck outro scene of when they're watching the credits is on the Sunchaser. So we think that's going to be in this episode, which I can't wait. That means, it's another Darkwing Duck in the episode, which is great.
Do you think we'll get another clip from the Darkwing Duck show?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Like the end of an episode before the credits roll?
That'd be great, but I'm good with the outro for now.
Hadn't even thought of that till just now. But now I want it.
Yeah, that'd be great. So obviously we're gonna get some Della in the episode. It's gonna be flashbacks at least, or pictures. I don't think it's really. There's been no talk of who the voice actress for Della is gonna be, so I don't think it's gonna be in this episode where they would have any talking going on.
Yeah, we've not seen anything. We've looked a couple of times to see if we found anyone, but they've kept that under wraps. A lot better than Don Cheadle. Hey, let's talk about the Secrets of Castle McDuck, because this is definitely one of my favorite episodes, and I keep saying that, but it's true, because this felt like a DuckTales, like a classic DuckTales episode.
It's definitely top 5. It's very reminiscent of the comics as well. Our best buddy Don Rosa, and I know a lot of people. When I say a lot of people, I know at least one person on Twitter had reservations about this one, thinking that from the promos, it looked like Fergus had just a stick up his butt, and he was going to be just a cross his dad. But there was reason, so I felt like they did a great job on the storytelling with Fergus and Downy, and I think it was great.
Hey, before we jump into it, let's do our 30-second recap.
Oh, okay.
Let me pull.
I'm going to pull 2.
You're going to pull a 2? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm going to say 2.
Stopwatch is up, and let me hit randomizer. And you said what number?
2.
You want to change it?
No.
Because it's 2.
No!
No! I gave you an opportunity to change it.
You know what? I would have changed it, and it would have been 1.
No, I'd already pressed the button.
That's fine.
I could see what it was.
No preparation whatsoever.
Yeah, just tell me when you're ready, and I'll hit start.
Go. Was I supposed to go after I said go?
Yes.
Okay. I'll tell you when.
All right, tell me to say go.
Let me get my stopwatch, too. You know,
it helps. Help. It does.
I haven't had to do one of these in a while. I've been lucky.
I think you've had like one.
All right. Go. Okay, this episode did not have Glomgold in it. Launchpad was hilarious. He dressed like Donald Duck, and he played the part very well. Great actor, that Launchpad McQuack. We learned that Scrooge and everybody is there to look for a treasure, and we get to meet Fergus and Downy Duck, which is Scrooge McDuck's parents, and they go look for a treasure, but we find out the best treasure is family. The end. Okay. And I was a little late to the button, so I think you're really close to the 30.
No, it was 30.
Yeah. Yeah. So I loved the 2 stories. We're typically getting 2 stories going on at a time, and I loved both of these stories equally. Because you had the story with Scrooge and his family, and then at the same time you had the story with the boys as family. And I guess to an extent we had a third story with Webby.
Yeah, I was going to say the Webby was hysterical.
It was some of the funniest parts. You were talking before we got into the recap about Fergus. I saw that too. There were people that were a little worried about how Fergus was going to be treated. And not knowing the character, because I haven't read Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, and I haven't read, a lot of these comics that I'm just now getting into. So I wasn't familiar with the character until I read Josh's character spotlight at DuckTalks. But once I read that, I kind of realized, okay, so Fergus was, a very kind father and cared a lot about his son. And then we're seeing all these images of him just scolding his son every time he looks at him. So I could see why people were a little worried, and I honestly was a little worried. But at the same time, I have faith in the crew that they love Scrooge McDuck, and they love Donald Duck and these characters. And I knew what they were going to do was going to be great. I didn't know what they were going to do, but I knew what they were going to do would be great. And it was. I really think, like you said, they gave a good reason for why Fergus was hard on his son. And then there was a little nod to a Don Rosa story. And I totally didn't get this because I've not read those stories. And I had worried a little bit that this would be a big deal online. But when it came out that Fergus had actually given, do you remember the name of the guy who got his boots cleaned by Scrooge? Someone is listening, screaming at me right now, and I don't know what his name was.
We won't go into names, but it's from Uncle Scrooge, comic number 285,
okay.
which is the first episode or first chapter in this Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. And yeah, for anybody that loved the comics and read through that, which is really necessary, and everybody needs to read that. Those comics are in volume 4 and 5 of the Don Rosa library, and they're also coming out with the complete Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck early next year. So everybody will have a chance to read those. But yeah, the story kind of comes straight from there. There are a lot of nods to that whole comic and Scrooge's relationship with Fergus, and it's just a really fun episode.
Well, I thought that was a retcon. I thought they had changed the story, and I thought that was going to be a big deal. And then I saw someone say, no, that's how Don Rosa wrote that story. His father was the one that passed on the dime, made sure the dime got to him as a lesson to, just like he says in this episode, I didn't have much to give you, but I wanted to give you that work ethic. I wanted you to know that you could do it and that you needed to do it. So I thought that's great that they used that part of the story.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. I'm going to have to look back on it. I thought that Fergus... I have my iPad here. Because I'm trying to remember if from the story, I felt like Fergus was thinking he was going to give up because he got a U.S. dime, which in Scotland doesn't really mean much to them.
Mm.
So let's see, it's in this book. It looks like the issue right before the Life and Time starts is an episode about how Magica goes back in time and tries to mess up that moment. I can't wait to read that story.
Oh, wow.
Mess up the moment and steal the dime right as he gets it.
And it's his father involved. That's cool.
Let's see. Yeah, we don't want to make something up here.
About which story it was? I think someone in the
Well,
Discord.
no, that was it. I just want to make sure that it's that person. that the dad gave him the coin, because I don't see that part.
That's true. Let me find it. Zoomy in our Discord chat earlier. We did a live Discord with followers of our show earlier, and let me find it. It's in this chat. He confirmed that and gave me the name of the story. Okay, so that is one of Rose's stories. Yeah, the name of it, Letter from Home. It's in Letter from Home, and that one illustrates the dime coming from Fergus. So it's the story Letter from Home, which that's the one that Morgan told us was one of his favorite stories. And he said it was adjacent to Life and Times. It's not an official part. And actually, that's coming to me. That was something that Morgan, because I asked Morgan if that was part of Life and Times, and he said it was adjacent. So it should be in volume 2.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Fantagraphics is doing Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck in 2 volumes. The first volume will include the original story in chronological order, and then the second volume will include the adjacent stories that are considered part of Scrooge's history, but weren't actually part of that original story. And Letter from Home is one of those. Yeah,
I got the Life and Times up here, and so Scrooge gets the dime for cleaning the guy's shoes, and it says he finds out, wait, this is an American coin, a dime that Sharpie tricked me. And then he says, this should be a lesson. Life is filled with tough jobs, and there'll always be Sharpies to cheat me. Well, I'll be tougher than the toughies and smarter than this and sharper than the Sharpies, and I'll make my money square. So that's kind of where he gets all the motivation from.
Yep. It's a cool story.
See Fergus around the corner, and it says, I have a feeling this is the start of something big.
Yeah. So, and he was kind of building off of what Carl Barks had already done there with that story. So I can't wait to get to these stories. And I think they're doing a great job. Again, we were talking about this in the Discord. I don't have the nostalgia of these stories, but I'm enjoying being introduced to them now and learning about them in the same way that, you know, I don't have all the nostalgia for the classic Star Wars that a lot of people, you know, have made a lot of people have a hard time with the current stuff. I enjoy the current stuff because I don't have that. And I guess it's probably the same thing for me with DuckTales. I love that they're using this stuff, and it's making me want to go back and read this stuff, but I don't have some of the hang-ups of, hey, I want it to be this way. I want you to do it the way I expect. But I like how they're incorporating things. That's just me.
Yeah, and they're fans of all this anyway, so it's great to see when fans make stuff for fans.
Yep.
And themselves. So
speaking of which, we're fans of Launchpad, and this had some of the best Launchpad.
Yeah, people have said that Donald wasn't in this, but I could have sworn I saw him.
Looking a little beefier, Donald.
Eating a lot these days, are you?
Oh, yeah. Thanks to Uncle McD. He's a saint. Took me and the boys in. Even let Donald, park my houseboat in the pool. He's a real family man, or my name isn't Launchpad McDonald Duck. Quack? Oh, no!
Oh, there he is!
Quack, quack, quack! Oh, quack, quack!
Poor lad. Of course you're confused. Living like an animal in Scrooge's yard. For shame.
Threw a tantrum and everything.
Yeah, so Scrooge tries to show how great of a family man he is to his parents. To try, now let's rewind a little bit. So Scrooge's parents are actually alive, which is a lot of people weren't expecting, because how old is Scrooge? And his parents are still alive, and we know that they passed away in the comics. So we find out that the castle was built with Druid stone. So,
but Scrooge went cheap.
Yeah, Scrooge gave his parents immortality. So that was really. I love the line where he says, "Yeah, well, I didn't know it was going to get immortality of criticism."
There's so many great Scrooge lines in this episode. And some of the animation of Scrooge when he gets frustrated with his dad was amazing.
Yeah.
So they're alive, and Scrooge is there because every 5 years he's able to go to the castle. He's able to find it because the fog lifts or something like that. And he goes not to visit his family every 5 years, but to hunt for a treasure that's hidden in the castle that he had rebuilt. But apparently one of his relatives had put some catacombs and some tunnels and everything in the foundation of the castle. And so there's a treasure hidden there. And his father knows where it's at, but his father won't tell him because he's upset with his son. So Scrooge is trying to prove that he's a family's man. He's not just there for the treasure. He's there to have a good time with his family. And he's obviously not. And so he goes, in order to prove it, he fakes like he's getting a phone call. And did you notice, have you caught this? I haven't gone back to look at the premiere episode. I don't feel like it was gold in the premiere episode. But Scrooge is obviously in the last few episodes using a gold flip phone.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know if it was gold. I thought it was like a grayish, silverish.
But the last couple of episodes, it's definitely been
he still
gold.
uses flip phones. He might pay for another one, he says.
Yeah. So anyway, he uses the phone, has a fake conversation, and he runs out and grabs Launchpad, who did drive them there, and he was instructed to hide the Jeep in the moors.
I like how they gave a sound effect as Launchpad, as Scrooge is sneaking off to go find Launchpad.
And then they show his feet. So apparently the moors is far away from the castle and in mud. But he comes back with Launchpad. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. He comes back with Donald. But his family's not buying it. They're like, beefed up a little bit. And Launchpad's trying to convince them of who he is. But he keeps messing up in true Launchpad fashion. And decides that the best thing he can do is throw a temper tantrum. So when he does that, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, it is Donald. Wow, Donald, you've changed.
Yeah, it was a great written episode. You can tell it was done with love, and I feel like Fergus will have at least one episode for next season too. I feel like he'll be recurring, so hopefully we'll get to see more of him. But the second story was just as good, if not even better than that, where Dewey and Louie and Huey, kind of said that a little backwards there, are on an adventure, like a scavenger hunt inside the castle. So look, and is it going to lead to treasure? Is it going to lead to something else? They don't know, but it's found behind a really cute Donald Duck as a kid painting, and it has a handwritten note, and Dewey immediately recognizes it as written by his mom, Della.
Yeah, and each of the triplets think they're going on this adventure for a different reason. Huey wants knowledge of the family. Louie, of course, wants treasure, and Dewey thinks it's going to lead to more information about his mother. But he doesn't want his brothers to be there with him because he's been hiding the secret from them. And it's kind of a big point of this episode is that Dewey's kind of found himself in a place where he started off trying to protect his brothers, and now he's really trying to protect himself.
And it leads to some really great moments, and I mean, humanization of Louie. You get to see a moment where you hear people say they might tear it up a little bit, where Louie's like, man, that's not cool, man. You can't hide anything about mom.
Yeah.
So that, I feel like that was a great moment in the show throughout the whole season.
Yeah, it was a very emotional moment. I know a lot, like you said, a lot of people online have commented on it, and I think it was well done because we've seen, even Scrooge has commented that Louie's the crier. We've seen Louie, become emotional, at least in fear, but in this moment, you see him really kind of hold that back and get kind of stern,
Yeah, that was a major character building for this for Louie, and I know I've seen a couple of people make comments that they would like to see Louie do something else, and build like all the other characters have. So That good for him. That was good. That was a good moment.
And Bobby Moynihan, man, he nailed it too. I mean, it was just a great moment with the brothers. And I like, Huey kept saying the Duck Boys are going to do this, and then by the end they kind of come together to take on this hound that's roaming the lower levels of the castle to protect the treasures and everything. And they have to come together to save one another. And a great moment when you see the ghosts of Clan McDuck come together to help them.
Yeah, they don't. The boys don't actually get to see the ghost or the relatives, and they don't say anything besides a scream. But it's really cool how you can identify those family members if you look at a Don Rosa Duck family tree. The Duck family tree.
Yeah, which of course is, Don Rosa was a huge fan of Carl Barks. He's a fanboy, and everything he did was out of his fandom. So it's also going to connect with those stories as well. But I thought it was really great. I enjoyed, you wrote a blog on that as well, and I enjoyed reading that and seeing who these characters were. And just, again, it makes me want to dive into these stories that much more. This show's great. And my kids loved this episode. Not going to say they enjoyed it more than Don Carnage, because they're still singing that song.
Yeah, I can't wait till probably maybe the week after finale week. We'll put together some like top 5 lists, best 5 moments, and best favorite episodes, and we'll see how everybody matches with one another. See what people's different opinions are.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to do that bracket as well, so we can do the bracket and see where everyone falls there. But we also want to do those top 5s. And if you guys have any suggestions of some top 5s you'd like to participate in, or you'd like for us to talk about, send those to us. You can send it by email, ducktalkspod@gmail.com. You can holler at us at Twitter. And because we're going to put together some content like that. We're going to be talking about this season for a while. Man, it just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, we're almost to the end, and it's all been leading up to this, and can't wait to get Magica in the flesh in the episode. I think that's going to be a great moment.
Yeah.
I mean, just from watching the sizzle reel, it gives you kind of goosebumps when she's saying, "Hey, Scroogey." So, it's gonna be awesome.
It was a great it was a great sizzle reel. They did a good job. Before we get away from, because we're almost done here. Before we get away, let's talk real quick about how things wrapped up. Of course, the boys come together. They realize that there's a secret, and I think that's gonna, we're gonna see the fruit of that in the next episode, the last crash of the Sunchaser. But we also see a conclusion to Scrooge and Fergus, and their issues. And we find out that with the dime, that Fergus was the one that kind of sent Scrooge to earn his own fortune, because he didn't have anything to give him. That's what he gave him, was the drive to do it. But he regretted it to an extent, because it meant that his son was never around, and he lost his son. Even though he provided for his son, he lost his son. And Scrooge has a moment where he realizes that that's why his father's been angry all this time, that it was because he wasn't around. And so they have this moment where they decide they're going to, next in 5 years, they're going to get together again and find this treasure, because they don't find it. Another relative played a prank on them from the grave. But like you said earlier, we hope to see more Fergus. And some people have been commenting on that online. And for Frankly Speaking this week, Frank Angones was asked about this. He was asked about the decision to spare Scrooge's parents from their fate. And also, why did they do that? And so here's what Frank said. He said there were more storytelling possibilities to be had with father figure Scrooge being put in his place by his own parents. It also allowed us to parallel Scrooge and the boys' emotional journeys in this one, as they both discovered secrets from their parents. We also love using Scrooge's parents in the present. Part of the trouble with a character with rich personal history like Scrooge is that you run the risk of his most exciting stories having taken place in the past. We wanted Fergus and Downy back on the table to be able to interact with everyone, making them active participants in the DuckTales story instead of stuck in flashbacks. We know this doesn't always jive with some past stories, but it allows us to explore new ideas while incorporating things we love for a new audience, sort of like the Marvel movies or post-crisis DC. As for how our time shenanigans affect the history of Donald, Della, Hortense, Matilda, and etc., we know how it works, and we have a plan. So I think that's a great explanation. We were talking about it in the Discord before we started recording. You can't really, if all of Scrooge's best stories are in the past, then it's just a show of him telling stories of the past. And then there's no consequences. We know Scrooge makes it to the present. So they have to find a way to incorporate those stories, but to have them in the present. And that's part of why Downy and Fergus are alive. It's so that they can use them in the future. Now, do you think we have to wait until season 6?
Yeah. I hope there is a season 6. That'd be great. That'd be 120 plus episodes.
I'm all for it. But yeah, I thought that was great, and Frank assuring the fandom that they have a plan, and he names Hortense and Matilda in that. So I'm going to take that we might see them in the show as well. I know some people were wondering why they were left out of this episode. Everything has a reason.
Oh, man. I just thought of one of my favorite lines of this episode was when Fergus sends Scrooge to his room, and he's like, I've never lived here.
Yeah.
He's like, well, then go to the furthest room for me.
I take great care of my family.
You avoid us like the plague.
Oh, come now. That's unfair to the plague.
That's it. Go to your room.
I never lived here.
Then pick the one furthest away from my line of sight.
Fine by me.
And then when Scrooge finds the secret passage and his father's standing there and he says, I told you to go to your room.
Yeah. Such great writing.
Yep. Fans to fans. That's the way I see it. Well, I believe that's going to wrap it up for us this week. Check us out at DuckTalks.com. If you enjoyed this episode of DuckTalks, we would like to ask you to review or rate our podcast on whatever podcatching service you use, and let us know that you did. We'd like to read those. We haven't had a review in a while. I'm ready to read a review. So
we like 5-star reviews.
We love 5-star reviews. You can also check us out on Twitter at DuckTalks, and you can find us individually there as well. I am at Infinirama616.
And I'm at the Pirate Steven.
Holler at us on Twitter. We like to talk about DuckTales all the time. We're currently going through these comics. You can also find us on Discord. We have a channel within Res TV's Discord. We share a link. I think I shared it today. So if you go through and go back to Tuesday on Twitter, you'll find that. But you can also find a link to it. But you can also find a link to it in the show notes. I make sure I include that each and every week. So you can join us on Discord. That way you're signed up and ready for our next meetup, when we get online and just talk with you all. Maybe about the most recent episode, maybe about some news that came out. Maybe we read IDW's comic and want to talk about it. We're going to try to do that some so that we can communicate with you all while we're not able to record on Discord. We'll get there. Did I leave anything out?
No, you hit the nail on the head. We got everything.
We got everything. So, till next time, stay glomgold.
Stay glomgold.
DuckTalks is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, or audio clips played on this podcast are the property of their copyright holders.
More sheep's bladder?
Yes.
It's the week of Monday, August the, 6th. I had to get one out of my system. Are you there?
What's that? What was that sound?
That's the game.
Oh, I play on mute, so I don't know what the sound actually sounds like. Cool.
I was expecting you to interrupt me. Sorry.
All right, do it again.
I was like, what are we doing?
I got it. Hey, you know what's funny? I was actually playing. You're fake playing. I'm really playing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hold on.
There we go.
Yeah, I gotta, like, is there a way to, quit. There we go. I just lost a life. Okay. Let me turn the volume back up. Gee whiz, pirate.